What was supposed to be a powerful, emotional adaptation of a best-selling novel has turned into one of the most explosive legal battles in Hollywood. The set of It Ends with USA film, once expected to be a prestige hit now, sits in the shadow of serious allegations, courtroom drama, and media chaos. At the center, Blake Lively, one of the most recognizable actresses in the industry, and Justin Baldoni, actor, director, and producer. In December 2024, Blake Lively filed a lawsuit against Baldoni, accusing him of sexual harassment and of fostering a hostile work environment on set. According to court documents, the incidents allegedly took place throughout the filming process and contributed to what Lively's legal team described as a sustained campaign of emotional and psychological intimidation. The lawsuit described inappropriate comments, unwanted physical contact, and repeated boundary violations by Baldoni, which, if proven, could spell the end of his reputation in Hollywood. But within days, Baldoni's legal team struck back, denying every claim. He labeled the lawsuit a calculated attack, fueled by ulterior motives and media manipulation. Then came the countersuit, and not just any countersuit, but a $400 million lawsuit filed by Wayfarer Studios, Baldoni's production company. The targets? Blake Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and her longtime publicist. The countersuit alleged civil extortion, defamation, and false light invasion of privacy. According to Baldoni's lawyers, the group had attempted to weaponize public opinion to sabotage his name and career using tabloid leaks and manipulated narratives. Suddenly, this wasn't just a harassment case, it was a full-scale Hollywood war, with A-list actors, major studios, and the press all entangled. The legal documents cited text messages, emails, and behind-the-scenes exchanges as evidence of what Wayfarer Studios claimed was a coordinated attempt to ruin Baldoni's career. But the drama didn't stop there. As the media caught on, the New York Times published several pieces highlighting the lawsuit, the countersuit, and the broader context of workplace conduct in Hollywood. In response, Baldoni launched another lawsuit, this time against the New York Times, accusing the paper of misrepresentation and reputational harm. By early 2025, three major legal threads were unraveling in parallel. The original harassment claim, the massive $400 million countersuit, and a lawsuit against one of the most respected newspapers in the world. And then, in June 2025, the judge made his first major move, dismissing both of Baldoni's lawsuits. The dismissal of Justin Baldoni's two countersuits in June 2025 marked a major turning point in the legal chaos. His case against the New York Times was thrown out swiftly. The judge ruled that the newspaper's coverage, though damning, was protected under press freedoms and journalistic standards. It wasn't defamatory, it was news. And the $400 million countersuit against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Lively's publicist, also dismissed. The court found no sufficient grounds to prove civil extortion or defamation, let alone a coordinated campaign to destroy Baldoni's career. With these lawsuits off the table, the original case Lively's harassment suit came back into sharp focus. Now, the question became whether Baldoni had, in fact, created a toxic environment on set. And if so, whether his status as both co-star and producer of It Ends With Us had made it easier for him to evade accountability until now. Behind closed doors, legal teams on both sides were gathering witness lists, confidential emails, and incident reports. Several crew members had already been quietly deposed. A handful allegedly corroborated Lively's version of events, citing instances where she appeared visibly uncomfortable or emotionally shaken after interactions with Baldoni. Others stayed silent or offered neutral statements, perhaps afraid to choose sides in a conflict this public and this consequential. In one particularly telling development, Lively's team released excerpts from on-set correspondence that they claimed showed a pattern of manipulation and gaslighting. One message from Baldoni reportedly downplayed her concerns as overreactions and referred to her discomfort as a Hollywood tantrum. These snippets were never fully released to the public, but their mention in court filings sparked outrage on social media, with hashtags like "Justice for Blake" and "ID ends with him" going viral overnight. Meanwhile, public opinion began to shift. Fans who had initially praised the duo for working together on such a sensitive and powerful story were now re-evaluating everything. Was this just another example of a powerful man using his position to control and silence a woman? Or was it a high-profile misunderstanding blown out of proportion by fame, media pressure, and decades of pent-up frustration in an industry known for exploitation? One voice notably absent from the public conversation was Reynolds. Despite being named in the dismissed countersuit, he refrained from making public statements. Insiders say he was furious behind the scenes, both at the accusations against his wife and the implication that he had been part of some conspiracy. But publicly, he played it quiet perhaps, strategically, perhaps protectively. As for Lively, she largely kept a low profile, only releasing one brief statement through her attorney: "No woman should be punished for standing up for herself. This is about accountability, not revenge." By mid-2025, the case had become a media spectacle butt in the courtroom. The judge made it clear that celebrity status would hold no sway. In one striking comment, he said, "Before this case, I had never heard of either party. Their fame does not impact the rule of law in my courtroom." With a trial date set for March 2026, both legal teams entered the next phase, preparing for the kind of trial that would test not just reputations, but possibly reshape the way Hollywood handles abuse, silence, and power. As the dust settled from the explosive pre-trial battles, all eyes turned toward what promised to be one of the most high-profile celebrity trials in recent memory. Set for March 2026, the court proceedings wouldn't just pit Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni against each other. It would test how far Hollywood had truly come in its reckoning with abuse, power, and silence in the post-Me Too era. Insiders say the courtroom will be a media fortress. Every moment, from opening statements to witness testimonies, will be scrutinized by millions, not just because of who's involved, but because of what the case represents. A challenge to the myth that fame and progressive image protect you from accountability. In recent years, Baldoni had branded himself as a champion of emotional vulnerability, especially among men. His TED Talks, his writing, his public statements, they all pointed to a man committed to dismantling toxic masculinity. And yet, that image now clashed violently with the accusations Lively brought forward. For many, it raised a disturbing question. What if the most feminist men in the room were also quietly abusing their power? Baldoni's defense team remains firm. They deny all allegations, calling Lively's lawsuit a complete fabrication designed to inflict reputational damage. They argue that no formal complaints were ever filed during production, that Lively's career was not harmed, and that their working relationship, though occasionally tense, was never inappropriate. They intend to argue that her claims are retaliatory, exaggerated, and unsupported by hard evidence. But Lively's legal team has a different strategy. Center the emotional reality of what happened, not just the technicalities. They've gathered statements from mental health professionals, emails from production staff, and internal memos that they say paint a broader picture in which the power imbalance between Baldoni as producer and Lively as star allowed for intimidation, coercion, and emotional manipulation to go unchecked. The emotional toll on both sides is undeniable. Lively, a mother of 4 and someone known for tightly controlling her public image, has reportedly been in trauma therapy since the start of the case. Baldoni, meanwhile, has faced growing backlash online. Though his core fan base remains, many now see his once celebrated vulnerability as part of a curated mask cone used not to connect but to conceal. And then there's Reynolds. Though dismissed from the lawsuit, he remains a looming presence. He and Lively haven't made any red carpet appearances since late 2024, and sources close to the couple say the stress of the lawsuit has taken a severe toll on their home life. If called as a character witness or to testify about Baldoni's behavior, Reynolds could play a key role in how the case unfolds. The judge, who has repeatedly emphasized his lack of bias, will likely impose strict limitations on cameras, media access, and out-of-court commentary. Still, leaks are inevitable. The courtroom becomes more than a legal arena. It becomes a cultural battlefield where issues like gaslighting, institutional protection, and celebrity influence are put under a microscope. Regardless of the verdict, the implications are massive. If Lively wins, it could signal a new chapter in how the industry protects its female stars not just from assault, but from psychological and professional coercion. If Baldoni wins, critics fear it might discourage women from coming forward in ambiguous, non-physical abuse cases that are harder to prove but equally damaging. No matter the outcome, one truth remains clear. This case has already changed the narrative. The days of clean reputations and unchallenged authority are gone. In their place is something far more volatile in industry, reckoning with the truth that power, no matter how woke, always demands accountability.